This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at our webinar. My name is Eileen Daniel. I am with HeartSmart, and we are very pleased today to have two representatives from Defibtech here to share a little bit about the Defibtech View. Before we get started, we do have some small minor housekeeping things to take care of. The first is if you are watching and you have your camera on, we do ask you that you turn your camera off. That'll just minimize distractions. The second is at the very top where it says view, you'll want to change that to view who's talking. If you have it on view who's talking, you'll be able to see not only the presentation, but you'll also be able to see the live demonstration from Defibtech when they start. The other thing is if you're calling in, we do ask that you *6 your phone so that you are muted. And if you have any questions, we love questions. We ask that you put them into the group chat. If you'd prefer to stay anonymous with the group, you can always send them to me directly. We will be doing a raffle today. The winner of this raffle will receive a Defibtech Lifeline AED, along with a copy of Mike Papale's book, A Big Heart, which is his memoir, and we're going to hear a little bit more of his story later on. But you do need to be present to win. So we do ask that you stay on until the very end, and we'll announce the winner at the end, and then we'll ask you to stay on and get us your contact information. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Mike Papale from Defibtech and Peyton White from Defibtech.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to be here today to learn these life-saving skills. So my name is Mike Papale, and I am the Manager of Community Relations here at Defibtech.
Hi, everybody. I'm Peyton White. I'm one of our field sales representatives at Defibtech.
So before we start talking about our View AED and the chain of survival, we just want to give you a little bit of background about Defibtech and the work that we do. So we are a leader and innovator in the design and manufacture of life-saving resuscitation devices. Our medical technology devices provide easy-to-use resuscitation equipment. Public safety, healthcare providers, and bystanders depend on our products every single day. We are owned by a leading international medical device manufacturer, Neon Coden, and we are committed to designing and creating products that help communities around the world respond to sudden cardiac arrest. So our mission at Defibtech is to increase survival and help save lives from sudden cardiac arrest. So in addition to deploying our life-saving AEDs all over the world, we partner with various nonprofit organizations that have very similar missions to ours. So starting with the Corey Stringer Institute, who has a mission to provide research, education, advocacy, and consultation to minimize performance, optimize safety, and prevent sudden death for the athlete, warfighter, and laborer. We partner with Parent Heart Watch, who is the only national voice solely dedicated to protecting youth from sudden cardiac arrest and preventable sudden cardiac death. The Citizen CPR Foundation, who has the mission to save lives from sudden cardiac arrest by stimulating effective community, professional, and citizen action. And finally, the Sudden Cardiac Arrest Foundation, who has the vision to eliminate preventable death and disability from sudden cardiac arrest. So part of the reason why I am super passionate about the work we do here at Defibtech is I've been personally affected by sudden cardiac arrest, and I'm excited to share that story with you all today. When I was a young kid growing up, I was really healthy. You could go to the next slide. I was really healthy. Went and saw my doctor every year, and never had anything that really stood out to him or my parents to make them think that I could possibly have something wrong with my heart or potentially have a life-altering situation or go into sudden cardiac arrest. My goal in life was to play college basketball, so I played basketball year-round, was training at a pretty high level, playing on various different basketball teams, and again, never had a situation where the doctor or someone in my family was worried that there was something wrong. Between my junior and senior year of high school, I spent the first half of the summer traveling all over the Northeast, going to different travel basketball tournaments and playing in different college showcases to try to get myself recruited to play in college. And at the end of the summer, I was a camp counselor at my dad's basketball camp, and it was taking place the last week before school started. So Wednesday night, during the week of camp, my brother and I decided that we were going to wake up early the next morning, and we were going to do a basketball workout prior to the camp starting. So that next morning, August 24th, 2006, we woke up at about 6 in the morning, and one of our friends picked us up. We went to a local gym, did a basketball workout for about an hour and a half, and it was completely fine. I can remember the workout to this day. Nothing really stood out about it. Nothing was really out of the ordinary, and I felt fine the entire time. After the workout ended, we went over to the local Parks and Recreation Center where the basketball camp was being held, and I walked in at about 8 a.m., changed my shirt, said hi to my dad, and I don't remember anything else from that day. So from 8 to about 10:30, I was just a camp counselor. I was coaching kids, refereeing games, putting the kids through drills. Don't remember any of it. But at 10:30, I was sitting on the bleachers. My best friend was sitting right next to me. My brother was on the court running up and down, refereeing. And I just slumped over onto the ground and went into sudden cardiac arrest. And shortly, Peyton's going to talk about the chain of survival and how crucial it is that when someone goes into sudden cardiac arrest, CPR is provided immediately and an AED is used quickly. And when those two things happen, the survival rates can be very high. Unfortunately for me, people didn't think that I needed CPR, again, because I was young, healthy, never really got sick or had anything seem that it was wrong with me, so people didn't initially think that it could be my heart. So nobody provided CPR right away, and because, for whatever reason, the building I was in, the Parks and Recreation Center, did not have an AED in that building. So those two factors made my chances of survival very slim. But I did get lucky that somebody called 911, and in the building next door, there was a man sitting at his desk, and he was a volunteer EMT who happened to have his pager on that day. So when the 911 call came through, his pager went off. He looked at it, recognized the address, came over, and started performing CPR on me. And did a really, really good job, saved my life, saved my brain, and really sustained me and kept me alive until an ambulance arrived. And the EMTs were able to run in and use a defibrillator on me and shock my heart back to a normal rhythm. So after being rushed to the hospital and being unconscious and not remembering a couple days, I went through a bunch of tests and was eventually diagnosed with a heart disease called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is much more common than I would have ever expected, especially in young people. And unfortunately, one of the symptoms is that it can cause sudden cardiac arrest. I know for a fact that if it wasn't for that man providing CPR and it wasn't for the defibrillator that was used to shock my heart, I would not be here today. And that's why, all the work that we do here at Defibtech and, the information that Peyton's going to provide to you about the chain of survival is so important. So right now, I'm going to bring Peyton up, and she is going to discuss the 6 links in the sudden cardiac arrest chain of survival.
Hey everyone. So as Mike was mentioning, we just wanted to be sure that we touch on these 6 steps that are essential for sudden cardiac arrest chain of survival. So we bring this up because first and foremost, you need to call 911, of course, to get EMS on the way and begin CPR and then defibrillation. So part of these essential steps does include having access to and using an AED. Sometimes it takes up to, or on average, I should say, it takes up to 7 minutes for EMS to arrive after a call. And the statistics are actually kind of going against that. So the highest chance of survival is if an AED is used within 3 minutes. And then every minute following, your chance of survival decreases by 10%. So it's really important that you do have access to an AED and somebody is able to use it. So once EMS arrives on site, then that person would ultimately get that advanced resuscitation, post-cardiac arrest care, and recovery. So what we're going to do next, I'm going to give you guys a full live demo that I want to be uninterrupted so that you can see how the AED works and how easy it is and how smooth the process is. But before I do that, I'll just go ahead and touch on some of the main features and specifications of our Lifeline View. So this is our Lifeline View. It's also the photo on the presentation if that's a little easier for you to see at this time. It is our first AED with full motion color video display. So this is awesome because our AED is going to give you full audible instructions the whole way through. So it's really easy to use even for somebody who's not trained on how to use an AED. But even further, it has this video screen that's also going to show you the instructions. So this is great for any environment, but especially for loud or noisy environments such as manufacturing or warehouses, where you may not be able to hear very well, or also for multilingual environments such as an airport, something like that. If somebody cannot understand the English instructions that are being spoken, then they can watch the instructions on the screen. So as I mentioned, it does have the built-in help and maintenance videos, and it will switch between rescue protocols on demand, which you guys will see whenever I do the demo. It kind of follows along with you and can recognize whenever it should move to the next step. It is capable of hands-only CPR or CPR with rescue breaths, and it also offers CPR coaching. So while you're using an AED, you are giving CPR, and with a built-in metronome on the unit, it's going to go along with you to help you stay on the correct rhythm for your CPR. It's also easy to maintain, so you can do a quick status check with one click of a button. On this view, there's a center soft key, which is the middle button next to the screen. If you have an AED, you can click on that and it'll bring up a full status of your AED on that screen. It'll show you your battery and pad expiration date. It'll show you your serial number for your AED or anything you might need for maintenance. In addition to all of that, the unit is going to be self-checking daily, weekly, monthly, or even quarterly. And if there is something that needs to be attended to, there's actually a red light that's going to be blinking and it'll beep at you. So it'll continue to beep and blink until the unit is given its attention. So it tries to make it easy on you to maintain the device. So now that we've kind of gone through all of that, I wanted to be sure that we could show you guys a live demo. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to let the unit do the talking for us so that you can see how it guides you through all the instructions. So all you have to remember, we're going to do a little zoom in here, so bear with us. All you have to remember is to press the power button here, and then the unit will take it from there. So.
Training mode. Call for help. Follow instructions to apply pads. Remove clothing from patient's chest. Locate pads package in back of AED. Tear open pads package. Peel pads from blue liner. Apply pads to patient's bare chest as shown. Remove clothing from patient's chest. Locate pads package in back of AED. Tear open pads package. Analyzing heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient. Stand clear. Shock advised. Charging. Press flashing shock button. Shock 1 delivered. It is safe to touch the patient. Begin CPR now. Give compressions. Powering off.
Okay, so that was it. I just wanted to note a couple of things about that demonstration. First, just to point out, if you guys noticed, the device was kind of going on a continuous loop, telling me to apply the pads, and then it didn't continue on to analyzing the patient until it recognized that the pads were applied. So as I mentioned earlier, it will kind of go with you and the unit will recognize whenever it's time to move to the next step. Sometimes if you're in the middle of a rescue, especially if you've never used an AED before, it can be kind of frantic. So you can rest assured that the unit will kind of wait for you and help you out. In addition, toward the end there, I did turn it off. If you notice that metronome, that beeping that was going off, that was the CPR coaching that I mentioned. So of course you would be giving CPR to the victim while you're using the AED, not while they're shocked, but you know, just before and after. And so I wasn't doing that. Of course, I just wanted to focus on the use of the AED, but that was kind of that metronome that I mentioned to help you out with the rhythm. And I think that was, you know, about it. I just wanted to be sure you guys really saw how seamless that was. I know we've kind of thrown a lot at you, so now is a great time if you guys have questions either about our units, our company, or Mike's story, anything like that. The floor is open. So.
Hi, Peyton. I did have one question from Alexandra. She wants to know if this would be a good AED to have in a home.
In a home? Yeah. Do you want to touch on this?
Sure.
Okay. So we're going to switch a little bit. So Mike and I will take turns.
Yeah. So to answer your question, yes. You know, right now the home market isn't something that's super popular. I would say that, you know, the average person probably does not have an AED at home. But a statistic out there is that 70% of sudden cardiac arrest actually does happen at home. So as Peyton talked about with the percentages, the quicker the AED is used, the better. You know, it is a good idea to have one. And I definitely think that, and Peyton might touch on this after a little more, but all of our units are super easy to use and user-friendly and made for somebody that actually has no training at all. So having a view in your home could definitely be beneficial.
Great. And Haley wants to know, what is the difference between the unit on the left and the unit on the right?
That's Peyton. She's going to come back on and explain that.
All right, so that's a great question too. So this is the Lifeline View. This is the same one that I had used to demo. So of course you'll notice the difference in color here. This one is red because it's actually our training device. So we are able to apply the pads and to kind of deliver a fake shock because this is a training device. It's not actually used for a live rescue. We just use it for these circumstances, and this would actually be what a live device looks like, but it is the same thing. Over here we have our regular Lifeline, so works the same. It just does not have that screen. It's just going to give audible instructions. Still a great AED. It's all just personal preference. You know, I did discuss some of the benefits of having that screen earlier, but it's better to have an AED than nothing at all. This one actually comes in two different sort of styles, if you will. So we have the semi-automatic and then the automatic. The one I'm holding is the automatic. It's probably hard to see, but you can't really see a red shock button here. That's because there is no shock button. So the automatic AED was actually built so that you don't have to physically press a shock button. If the AED is going to shock the victim, they will just automatically do it. It'll of course give you a warning to clear your hands, and it will tell you when it's going to administer shock, but it's going to automatically do it. Whereas a regular Lifeline, that semi-automatic, is going to have that button like this View did, and it's going to require you to press it when you need to administer a shock. There's not one that's better than the other. It's complete personal preference. The automatic was made because we actually found in some research that at sometimes there was some hesitation with people. You know, again, it's a stressful situation, and if you've never used an AED, sometimes people are nervous to click that shock button if, you know, they're worried that the patient doesn't need it. But you can trust these devices. They're analyzing the victim, and if they recognize a shockable rhythm, if it's telling you to shock, you need to give a shock. So whether you press it or if you let the device do it automatically, it doesn't matter. But we just like to give that option.
Okay. I am not going to say this first name correctly. S-H-M-U-E-L, Shmuel. I don't know. Wants to know, what is the lifetime of the batteries and the pads? And then he wants to know how many shocks you can deliver in one, I'm guessing rescue session?
Okay, great questions. So on the Lifeline, there's actually 2 battery life options on this one. You can get a 5-year battery or a 7-year battery. The pad life on this is 3 years. On this one, we've got a little bit shorter of a battery and pad life. So the only battery life option is 4 years, and then the pad life is 2 years on that. And then in regards to, you said the question was, how many shocks can you deliver in one?
Like one rescue session, right?
One rescue session. So that's a great question, and we're actually going to double check that. It's my understanding, what I do know is that the device is going to continue to rescue or continue to tell you what to do until EMS arrives. I might let Mike kind of explain on this one. He's good with that.
Yeah. So our battery for both the Lifeline and the View, they have the ability to work 8 hours straight in a rescue situation and deliver up to 125 shocks. So, obviously the hope is that if you're, that 911 has been called, and it obviously wouldn't have to do that, but in maybe a situation where you're in a very remote area where the EMS is not accessible, the units are designed to work for 8 hours and deliver 125 shocks in a rescue.
Great. And let's see. Do you have any other AEDs besides the 2 that you're showing us there?
Yes. So I mentioned, of course, the View and then the 2 different versions of the regular Lifeline. The only one that I've not mentioned yet is our Lifeline ECG, which basically works just like the View. It's going to have that screen, and it's more commonly used for medical personnel because they would have the option to see a full ECG rhythm on the screen. So those are the 4 models that we offer.
Great. Are there any more questions? Give it a few seconds here. Looks like not. So great.
Great questions.
Shoot. And of course, my screen doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. I did want to go ahead and mention that HeartSmart does have a special going on right now. You can save up to $300, or you can save $300 on Defibtech AEDs or AED value packages. You can take advantage of that deal by going to heartsmart.com, and we hope you'll do that. And now we're going to announce the winner of the raffle, and that is Haley Baggins. So Haley, thank you so much for attending today, and congratulations on winning that Lifeline AED. I'll tell you, this is the AED that I have at home. So when someone asked about having this at home, this is the AED I have at home, and the reason the Lifeline, the View wasn't available at that time, but I selected it because I have kids, and I figured one button, that's all they have to push, and it tells them what to do, and they picked it up really, really quickly. So congratulations, Haley. If you have any more questions regarding the Defibtech AEDs, you can always reach out to HeartSmart's customer care at support@heartsmart.com, or you can call them at 800-422-8129. If you'd like to reach Defibtech directly, you can email them at info@defibtech.com or give them a call at 866-333-4248. Thank you all so much for coming out today and spending time with us. And thank you to Peyton and to Mike. And we look forward to doing more of these in the future.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day.